Let's do this.
All
Slowly.
right. Well, they're taking a moment to discuss their bans. I guess they don't have a...
Well, they probably weren't doing it for that. There's a Zed ban against Dade. Okay.
Well, if they're not planning on picking it, of course, that is necessary. So the pocket Rammus ban, and so this is an interesting situation if you're Samsung Ozone, because do you get rid of some of these powerful picks in the current meta, like Nidalee, like Lucian, or do you go and try and control the pocket champions like Rammus and Seraph that Team Dark likes to run?
Well, I feel like against a team like Team Dark, this amateur team that's a bit unknown, that's really all you can do. I mean, if you can force an amateur team out of their comfort picks, that seems like a good way to hurt them.
Yeah, well, they've got one ban left, but Nidalee's still up.
And the Elise ban coming from the Ozone side.
Well, she's just very strong right now. So Nidalee actually banned by Dark, so taking some traditional red side bans and applying them over to the blue side. So I guess PLLS not comfortable on either Nidalee or Zed, which surprises me a bit because PLLS has liked running long-range mages. So the fact that he can't play Nidalee or isn't comfortable on it comes as a bit of a shock. And there's another pocket Alistair for Guy Bao.
That's going to allow him to pick up the Lucian, but you have to feel that Ozone's okay with this. I mean, it was their sister team that had a big Lucian play. It wasn't them until recently. So you know they're okay with getting around the Lucian. Ezreal's still a very strong pickup. There's the Annie and maybe a Mundo. Maybe Mundo.
If you haven't been watching Champions, we are still on the 3.13 patch.
Yes.
And to update you, Sivir and Heimer reworks are disabled, as are Olaf and Syndra for bugs. This will be the same patch, the same global bans and disables will be used in IEM Cologne as well this weekend. So
thought we were going to see the Annie Riven there for a second. That's been a really popular combo
these
days. Said the Nunu, quite popular in his own right. 2 picks over to Team Dark.
I'm a bit surprised that Dandy's going to play Nunu, but
it's not necessarily his style.
Lee Sin and Elise, no, and he just tends to flourish with champions that let him show off his mechanics.
Yeah,
he is a bit like Watch in that way, although Watch's zoning with Nunu Ultimate is very good. But
that's true. I mean, you can make plays with Nunu, but not exactly in the same way. He's not exactly the most maneuverable champion out there.
He just doesn't reward good mechanics like some other champions do. He's relatively straightforward to play. Doesn't have... I mean, Consume is in Blood Boil. One of them you're probably not going to use in the middle of a team fight. The other one you just kind of put it on and run around. But there's the Jace coming in. So
and the
Lucian,
solution. Jace.
Yes, the solution, the Sona Lucian lane. This is a pure poke composition coming out right now from Team Dark. So they're going to try and push down the towers early and abuse this range. But now by taking Jace so early on, they've shown their hand.
Yeah.
They've shown their hand here. And this could be dangerous. I think him taking the Caitlyn probably going to be likely if this long-term Caitlyn player. And
makes sense.
Well, or you could take the Ezreal.
We did see the Nunu paired with the Ezreal yesterday, so.
Also, we know Dade, mid Ezreal is something that he does. It's never for sure where that champion is going when you're talking about Samsung Ozone.
Yeah, so this could definitely be a pick that they can decide where to go with it later on.
Well, they're going to grab the Shyvana. So the Nunu, again, we see the Nunu-Ezreal combination. Not exactly ideal in terms of damage output with a more caster-oriented AD carry. But you can get Ezreal's attack speed way, way up there with his passive
and
as
Seraph locked in, so it's going to be a top Jace, it looks like, and maybe a jungle Xin Zhao.
An insane poke composition right now. So this is going to test...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this is actually, the Udyr is a decent choice here because he's going to be able just to swap into bear stance and then stun anyone who tries to get into the back line. So, he can pretty much just play defense and help with the disengage as well as giving his team more time to kite. So, interesting
cool
combination from
this.
Team Dark.
Yeah.
The big question is, will they... We know they have problems with some of the teamwork, some of the vision control, and this is a team composition that is going to be vulnerable to flanks and backline engages, so they have to make sure they've got their wards rocking, and they also need to rotate fast and aggressively. They need to get that edge in the early game.
Please pick this.
The Blitzcrank would be a good counter to the poke because it'll give them some engage.
Yeah. Possibly a Ziggs, though. Would not be bad at all. Gragas would be the most normal choice.
Yeah, so they do have some disruption on the poke right here, some counter poke of their own from Ezreal and Gragas, and they've got good engage coming from Annie right here.
All right.
I wouldn't say this is exactly the ideal composition coming out of Samsung Ozone. It doesn't have the highest level of synergy. You know, you got to worry there too about the Gragas ult, the Annie ult. You need to make sure that you can get the Annie ult in before the Gragas ult hits. Otherwise, you kind of ends up wasting that Annie ultimate. And
you know, we've seen a lot of comps, and you talked about that on your show that just came out of Machinima 2, where you see these comps with a lot of CC, a lot of chain CC, and then you see a Vayne on the outside picking off people after everything gets disrupted. With the Vayne nerfs, Ezreal's becoming a more maybe enticing alternative. Vayne's still good, but maybe Ezreal working out just as well there as well.
Yeah, he has a lot of mobility, so he is relatively safe on his own on the outskirts of a fight. And his burst pretty darn good with that Trinity Force. I mean, it's not the same level of damage output, but we are probably going to have to see some changes away from Vayne.
Makes sense. Well, more Lucian. Lucian kind of the spotlighted carry, I would say, in Champions this season as far as picks and bans go. Maybe not the most successful just yet, but it's cool to see the Korean scene adopting a new champion so quickly, too.
Yeah, it is. And they've been very successful with it. They figured out a creative way to use this Lucian in terms of poke.
Very neat. Well, guys, it is time. Game number 1, Team Dark versus Samsung Ozone here on Champions Winter. The game's all loaded up. Let's get in the game. Looks like Ojan is working on a pop star flame skin. That intro. Here we go, guys. Group C, set 1. Team Dark versus Samsung Ozone. Champions Winter with Dylan Monte Cristo. Thanks for watching us, guys. We're watching the games anyway. You can't see us right now. You can only hear us.
Well, Team Dark, this is going to be a very good test and a very good indicator of how well and they're going to work as a team, because this is something that's difficult. This kind of composition is difficult even for world-class teams to pull off, just because you have to kind of have balls of steel. You have to be willing to group early and not respond to split pushing as much.
Well, Xerath has balls of energy at least.
He's got balls of energy, it's true.
But not balls of steel.
Yeah, so, you know, they have to group early. They can't be suckered into split pushing for responding to split pushing for an extended period of time.
Oh,
they've got to really commit to some early sieges.
Oh, Mata. Oh boy. All right. Like 2 5-man ships passing the night.
Yeah, a little bit risky there for Mata to go all the way down by himself, but isn't caught out in the long run. And Sevilla, interestingly enough,
Keepow walks right into it. There's a stun from Annie. First blood taken already, and they're not done yet. Danny in a little bit of trouble getting low. Looper in the back lines onto Chop. Chop has to flash out low. He gets taken down. Mata claims a victim there. Sevilla coming in as well. Imp has to pop that barrier. And look at this, the craziest level 1 fight I think we've ever seen here. Looper low as well. They want to continue with Dade. They jumped right into it, and that is 2 kills on either side, and it's not done yet. It now gets low. Dade going for the kill, gets the double. 2-0-2 for Dade at level 1.
A level 1 ace for Samsung Ozone right there after they got the drop onto Guy Bao. Oh, wow, they really committed, both of the teams.
No kidding.
Look at this. All summoners used on...
All right.
I mean, pretty much both sides except for Smite.
We have 7 kills in the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the game. I have never been happier.
Let's take a look at this, because Okibao comes in, eats the stun immediately, so that's going to reduce a lot of the damage out. But they do line up for It Now and PLLS in terms of their line skill shots. But you know, the squishiness of Team Dark early on really hurting them right there, and just better focus firing as well from Samsung Ozone. You saw a lot of very low members of Ozone, and you know, if they had better calling right there on targets, it probably would have been a more even fight. But as it stands, every single member goes down early. Dade ends up with 2 kills, and Dade having a chuckle after that one. Oh, he does smile.
He does smile. Yeah, you're right. It only takes 2 kills at level 1 to make him happy. Yep. Well, this game has already been a bit interesting.
Well, he comes to lane with 2 Doran's rings immediately alongside his crystalline flask, but a lot of items for pretty much everybody.
Yeah, honestly, like the power level of both of these teams isn't all that different just yet.
Well, I mean, we do have an immediate 1.5k gold difference, so that's going to be
it does.
A little awkward for Team Dark to overcome, but
yeah.
Especially the problem here is that Team Dark, they really want to have that use that early game power spike to shove down turrets from long range and use that poke. And so giving away so many kills and starting with the deficit is going to cause this team composition in particular quite a few problems.
Yeah. Well, keep on it now, trying their best to just shove this lane, put as much pressure on as they can. They do have a little bit of catching up to do. Now, Imp got 3 assists and no kills, whereas It Now got a kill and an assist. So It Now actually does have a little bit more item-wise early on. We'll see how it goes, though.
Yeah, he gets that extra long sword in there, which of course will be quite helpful, especially considering their lane has the sustain as well. So this should be a 1 lane for Team Dark, barring any kind of terrible errors. So Sevilla, I like the Udyr pick for him just because when we saw his Rammus, he really values mobility on junglers to just kind of rapidly gank multiple lanes.
Right.
And Udyr's a champion with that bear stance. It's going to give him similar flexibility should he choose to use it. But nope, not going to go for the early boot Spirit Stone. However, he is going to buy some pretty early wards right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked about warding being one of the issues that Team Dark had in their last outing, and seeing those early wards, possibly a good sign there. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm very interested after that crazy level 1 how this is going to shake out. Again, Dark, they've got a group pretty early on here. They're going to have a power spike after their first major items come in, and that's when they really need to just force Ozone to adapt to them, ignore the split push, go all in on the sieges. That said, it's going to be hard for them to siege with a champion like Gragas there to break everything up, and there's always that very threatening engage potential from a flash tipper stun.
Now Sevilla dropping a lane in the river, and he's moving into the enemy jungle here, doing a little bit of counter juggling, and it is usually a pretty good thing when you can find the enemy jungler as Udyr.
Yeah, well, he is going for the Phoenix stance Udyr, so focusing instead on that jungle clear. Just going to go ahead and steal those wolves. Dandy. Oh, poor Nunu.
Oh.
He's actually just going to leave the wolf there. He thinks he might be able to catch up, but doesn't see that Udyr, so no reaction possible. And yeah, early game pink wards coming out from 3 members actually of Team Dark, so they are very interested in getting an edge in vision control early on here.
Yeah, this is a total change from what we saw last time.
Yeah, it was, in the last time, it was a lot about their late game because they just couldn't maintain control over Baron compared to Najin's Shield. So that's what I'm really going to be looking at as we move on later to see if they fix some of those errors.
Let's see, Keep Out coming back up through the river now. And the lane, the top pushing a little bit more into Ozone's favor. Dandy comes in, gets that Consume Smite steal on the Wraith. That's his root, dude.
Yeah, Sevilla didn't have his smite up, so here's a teleport coming in from Xerath, though.
That's right, Imp and Mata might be in a little bit of trouble. Oh man, but Keep Out just gets lit up immediately. A quick kill there, and Mata takes one from the turret. Sevilla, turn around. Oh man, Dade and Dandy coming in though. They may be in trouble. Team Dark needs to be really careful here. Backing up Sevilla already very low. It now gets hit with the Gragas ultimate and gets killed. And that did not go well for Team Dark. Not really.
No, and they've got to be worried right here. I mean, that was a really good decision coming out of Samsung Ozone. They, with the teleport coming in that situation, to run through turret certainly saved Imp's life, and a strong and quick reaction from Dade and Dandy as well. Taking a look at this again, so they see it with the minion wave, actually. They see the Xerath coming in from behind, make a decision to run through the turret. Mata sacrifices his life. Imp just pops over the wall right there. and Dandy and Dade just lying in wait. So it allows them to turn around. Dade actually gets looks like a double slow there with a body slam flash. So good little play by him. And after seeing Dade's incredibly humiliating performance on Gragas at Worlds, it's nice to see him actually look like he's more comfortable with the champion now.
Yeah, 2-0-3 already after that insane level 1, and then a little bit of action. So looking much, much better, though. It is true. And Team Dark, 8 minutes in and already about 2,000 gold down. It's things have gone better.
Right, and now Looper just being a menace here.
Yeah, thinks he's singed. We'll pop that ultimate, though, but go ahead and take Golms that way, too.
Yeah, all right. It's just good to lay down the pressure early on, dictate some of the jungler's actions.
Yeah.
But Sevilla really focused on farming with that Phoenix stance right now. He's just trying to get it as tanky as fast as he can. And, you know, I like this with this team composition, at least in theory. Had the disastrous level 1 for Team Dark not happen, because if they can get that Udyr tanky, then they're going to have a lot more tools to prevent an all-in while the rest of their champions siege.
Right.
And considering that they've got strong lanes, you know, they have a couple of these long-range champions able to safely farm. As I say that, Dade tries to all-in PLS.
Yeah,
PLS has no
Dade
mana,
low.
PLS has no mana, but he is able to get one final to clear it out. Uh-oh.
Whoa. Close call there. Got the flash out of him. Wasn't bad. Now Mata a bit threatening at the moment. He's got Tibbers available. He's got flash available too. And with that lead in lane that they have, it now and Kibao need to be really careful.
Yeah, it's time for PLS to go back. Needs to pick up some more items, so he's not really going to be able to go toe-to-toe with his Gragas. You know, he doesn't have the Ignite. And Dade,
Chop is in big trouble here. Has to run away, sees Dandy come down. There's a power slam, but Chop, will he get back? Yeah, he will in time. Oh, but here comes Dade on Gragas. Chop still on the run, a little bit of damage. There's a body slam, gets flashed out of, knocks away Dade, but here comes Dandy with the flash snowball coming in. They've slowed him down enough, and Dade claims another kill.
Dade just looking so much better than we're used to seeing, but you know, interestingly in this bot lane, or duo lane I should say.
Oh, it now. Oh man, Imp coming in, making the plays. There's a barrier, Ignite ticking away. It now barely lives through it, but Mata comes in for the bloodthirsty support kill. Trades life, but it's worth it. Imp goes down to Sevilla though. This game is just an absolute brawl now.
15 kills in 10 minutes, so it certainly is a bit of an overextension right there from Imp and Mata, and a nice reaction from Sevilla. Going to go ahead and clear the lane. While he's at PLS, still having some trouble. Dade has his Ignite up. PLS has to be really careful.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, it's just Dade, look at it. He already has the Chalice and the Phoenix Codex. I mean, when he goes back again, it's just these huge amount of kills that he's gotten early and pushed him over the edge in terms of his items.
Well, PLS even picked up that Cage's lucky pick, too, to try to get a little bit of gold back, being down on CS, being pushed back to turret so much.
Yeah.
We need more than that, though. It's not looking too good for Team Dark in game 1.
Well, I mean, it's hard for even a good team to come back after a level 1 like that. And Team Dark, their hope here was to have a controlling early game and mid game with this like very poke-oriented team composition, but they're just not going to have as good of a power spike right now.
Yeah. Well, and nothing really stopping them from taking Dragon as well. Kibao had to flash there to get away from Looper. Looper coming in again. Kibao overextending. There's a crescendo. Looper does get slowed up, but I don't think it's going to help Sona. No, Kibao goes down again. 0-4-1, and Looper, can he just walk away from this? He's going towards Sevilla in the river there, and he's going to get stopped up. Dade coming in to try to save the day. He does have his ultimate available. Stops Sevilla for just a moment, but there's a bear stance onto Dade. PLS coming in, but everyone's going to get away. Looper looping down to the river for that escape.
So I really like the decision-making that we saw right there in terms of how to rotate lanes. So if you look at it, Looper, of course, against this kind of double AD composition, picking up the Ninja Tabby quite early on. So that was what was allowed him to kind of all in It Now and Kibao solo like that, was because he nearly has that Sunfire Cave. He was reducing the auto attack damage early, and so really, you know, It Now not that much of a damage threat to this very tanky Shyvana. And so when they rotate her into the duo lane, and then they were able to take the Dragon as well by having their duo lane on the bottom side of the map. So this the itemization, I think, factoring into their rotational decision making right now, and it's allowed them to get more objectives. This is smart play from Samsung Ozone.
Oh yeah. And if you're Team Dark, what do you do? I mean, with a comp that's supposed to siege, if you can't siege, there's really not a whole lot you can do. I mean, Lucian, not exactly the highest damage carry either way. Looper going under turret. 1v2.
Yeah, getting some of that damage down.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh-oh.
Ozone looking for that blue steal. Mata hiding right there, but they know how many people are there now.
Well, yeah, the map is basically Ozone's at this point. We see the bot lane or the duo lane rather, from Team Dark having to back off already. Dade gets that blue buff steal. Imp takes the mid lane turret, and everything just going Ozone's way.
Yeah.
5,000 gold lead at 13 minutes, about 14 minutes. I don't know. I think this is going to be a 20-minute surrender, man.
I don't see this going too well. Although I will be
Yeah.
surprised, actually, if Team Dark surrenders, because
They aren't the type of team to surrender. but-
it's not just that. It's that they don't get a lot of opportunities to play against pro teams.
It's true, too.
And, I'm sure they may have been getting a bit more in terms of scrims, but that said, even if they're losing, the opportunity to play and see what the other team does and how they react to what you're doing on the map may be valuable. That experience is probably valuable in and of itself.
That certainly could be. Oh, here comes Looper coming in at a Gibao, who gets caught again. Man, I mean, we saw this last time, too. His game that he wasn't on Alistar, which I believe was a Sona game as well. Just, wow.
Skara just dived inside, seeing that right there. Took 3 wards to actually hit that one. Oh,
It's a rough day. Just one of those days.
Mata should really know how to place that ward by now. That is
Hey, man,
hilarious.
everybody misses that ward, though. Even I miss that ward sometimes, Monte Cristo. The question is, which one is harder to hit, that one or the one from red side over the wall into that little river brush?
That one's pretty bad too. But
one's
I think
pretty tough,
the Dragon.
Oh, Flash Timbers onto 3 people in the explosive cast. Amazing engage from Ozone, and Team Dark just gets evaporated. 2 members down already, pushing them off that turret quite easily. Dade at about half health, but he can just kind of waltz away back to that turret. What a Flash Timbers engage from Mata. That was beautiful.
Yeah, nicely done, and easy cleanup too, with how much damage Samsung Ozone is doing right now, considering their pretty substantial lead across the board. I mean, if we look at the CS differences too between Dade and PLLS,
Watch this.
take a look at
Oh,
this
man.
again. So there we go, hitting 3 members right into a body slam as well. So absolutely melting people, and then the burst coming out of Gragas really helping to mop up that team fight. Dade gets a parting barrel off right there and just turn back and take the turret.
Yep. Well, this is, unfortunately for Team Dark, a pretty monumental stomp so far.
Well, their team composition needs to be ahead in order to.
Well, it really is all about that level 1. I mean, they're just with
yeah.
this team comp. There's just not a whole lot you can
I
do
like
after
the
a
team
start
comp,
like
and
that.
Joe, I'm really sad because I wanted to see how well and how aggressive they were going to play with this team composition, and if they were really going to try to base race and have that strategy stick to their guns. But they just got too far behind. They've never been able to group because they've been fighting on their back foot.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, PLS gets caught against a village. Stunned. Makes it out. Not Xerath. 1-3-2 for him. It now has to back out here. Barely gets away. And yeah, there's just nothing that Team Dark can do at this point. Ozone just vastly ahead.
Yeah, and also Ozone using this lead to push methodically to close out the game.
Really doing a good job of capitalizing on everything all the opportunities that they've been given.
Yeah, playing appropriately aggressively. And they'll just take out the turret, shove the lane, and back off. They can clear out the jungle, I suppose. They've got the good ward presence right now on the blue side jungle of Team Dark. And there we go.
Yeah.
Cleared out with the True Shot Barrage. And that means all lanes will be pushing after they go back and get their items. They've got 5 wards on the blue side, so this is a classic Ozone moment where they put 1,000,000 vision wards down in order to take Baron. I've seen them place as many as 9.
Well, that's not going to happen after Season 4 comes out. This is going to be the max we'll see then.
Ozone really likes to vision ward Baron in the mid game.
Yeah.
But they're quite good at it, and it usually results in them actually taking that objective.
Well, speaking of objectives, another dragon. This is going to bring it to about a 10,000 gold lead.
Sub 20 minutes, just another massive stomp from Ozone.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making this group look quite easy.
Yeah, they are.
And granted, they don't have the hardest group. I mean, they have arguably the weakest group, in fact, in this tournament. And it'll be, as they will pretty much undoubtedly go into the playoffs, I'm curious as to how they're going to contest with
Gibao gets caught again. There's a flash. There's a crescendo just to get a win. True shot barrage. Oh, can Looper finish him off? Yes, he can.
And Imp not quite having. Oh, wow.
Oh, Imp gets caught. Oh, there's a barrier in the flash. He almost got cold.
He did, and the Xerath ultimate coming in as well, but now Chop a little bit.
Oh, explosive cast nearly takes out it now. Chop in big trouble. More than big trouble, he's dead. And Looper just backs off. Takes a lot of damage, even some turret hits, but no big deal. He's pretty tanky at this point.
This Ozone team is looking fantastic, Joe.
Yeah,
this is such a big difference. I mean, I can't stress enough, especially Dade.
Yeah.
Yes, he had a big lead going in, but it's not just that. It's the difference in the quality of his Gragas play as opposed to Worlds, when his Gragas play was just abysmal. And to see him using the champion so much better here tonight is encouraging.
And I mean, one of the big problems they had at Worlds, too, is overconfidence, getting really sloppy when they were ahead. And we're not seeing that at all this game. Not really getting out of position, not really getting sloppy too much. It's pretty tight.
It is.
They just want to end the game.
Now, Looper looks like he's adapted to the team nicely as well. I mean, he was one of the few bright spots in Ozone at Worlds. And wow,
Ooh, Dade going in. There's the explosive cast in the Ignite. Finish him off for Dade. And there's the 20-minute surrender from Team Dark. They want to move on, and I can't blame them. Ozone with an absolute stop in game number 1, and that's tough, man. I mean, it all goes back to that level 1 fight, and you know, people don't like to talk about level 1s meaning the difference in a game, but when you have something like that, when your team gets aced at level 1, then it definitely does.
It does. And Team Dark, I'm sure, learned something right there. Now, they saw the 5-man invade, or at least they saw at the very least Annie in the jungle early on, so there was a possibility of 5 men in the try. Now, it wasn't likely. I will give it to Team Dark that it was not likely that Ozone would be 5-manning the try rush up in top lane.
All right.
It was a little bit sneaky.
Give me a percentage.
Like 5%. Not.
Wow.
It was it was unlikely that they would do that.
All right. Well, it's a victory for Ozone, and you know, I will say this too, is that last week we did see Dark get beaten pretty bad in game number 1. They came back in game number 2, played really well. We'll see if they can do it right after this. Don't go anywhere.